Money is a very tricky thing. Oftentimes you hear people say, if I had more money, I would be okay. If I had more money, I would travel more. Or if I had more money, life would be so much better. And I found that over the years, that's just not true, because the simple matter is, if you can't manage the little money that you have, no amount of money that you get, your habits are going to be the same, and you're still going to be just as bad off. And I know that firsthand, because there were some years where, I put $500,000 in my bank account. Well, let me rephrase that. I had $500,000 come through my hands and come through my bank account, but at the end of the year, I might have only had $1,500 in the bank. I'm sitting there scratching my head trying to figure out where in the world did all this money go. I have very little to show for it. I got a lot of expenses and lots of tastes, and we just spent money. We just spent it. We didn't tell our money what to do. And there's this preacher by the name of Reverend Ike. He always made that statement. You got to tell your money what to do, because if you don't tell it what to do, it's going to leave you. And, only when I started getting serious about building wealth, saving, managing my money, that I started to learn more about budgeting and telling my money what to do. And so I'm going to share one of the formulas that we use at home that, one, allowed us to get out of debt and get our act together, and really allowed us to develop new habits. Because again, if you can't manage the little bit of money that you have, the surplus that you have coming in, you're not going to be any better off. In fact, you'd probably be far worse off than you were before you got the money. So, so I'm gonna share this little formula here. So I'm gonna hold the camera and show you this graph here. So basically, through my bank account, I work with a credit union, and they allowed me to create all these different sub accounts. So I have an account called savings. I have a checking account called personal. I have an account called entertainment and dinner, clothes, birthday, Christmas, house, rent, utilities, cars, groceries, debt, and all those numbers, each one of them have a percentage next to it. So 10% with the savings, personal split 3%, and I'll explain that in a minute, entertainment 6%, and it all total out to about 100%. So every single time I got money, I took that money and I split it based on this formula. So essentially what I started to do, I started now to tell my money what to do. And, it took time. I messed up probably about during the first 6 months. I screwed up multiple times. I had to keep starting over. It was a new habit. I had to get a new habit. I had to learn that new pattern. And so I screwed up. But it was only about 6 to 8 months in when I really started to see that this thing worked. And even early on, I started to see how well it worked. But again, I gravitated back to some of my old habits. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put a number up here. I got one hand, bear with me. I'm trying to get my marker loose. Okay. So let's assume, I'm going to assume everybody, it's two family, you got a spouse working and you're earning $5,000 a month between both incomes. So essentially what this is saying, if you earn $5,000 a month, you're going to put $500 is going to go straight into that savings account. And if you get paid weekly, you do this every week. So if you're getting paid $12.50 a week, you'll be putting $125 into that savings account every Friday or every week. Now this personal split here is what we have, because see, it's important that you pay yourself first. So you're paying yourself technically with the savings, but savings is money that you don't touch unless it's for an extreme emergency. But it's no fun saving money and don't have any to go blow on yourself. So with the personal split here, basically 3% of the 500, there's $150 that goes here. And since it's me and my wife, we split that. So in this case, I'm just using the $5,000 base. So if this was our salary, I'd get $75 of that, and she'd get $75 of that. And she do whatever she wants with it. I do whatever I want with my $75. Now, granted, I know it don't seem like a lot, but as you can start to see here, there could be other monies where you can go out and still have entertainment. This is just pocket money to do whatever you choose to do. You can save it, you can blow it, you can buy beer, you can do whatever you want. But when we get down to the entertainment and the dinner section, 6% of the 5,000 is what? $300. So essentially what that is saying, every single month, we got $300. We can go out to dinner once a month, once or twice a month, or we can order pizza every Friday. It comes out of this $300. And again, if you're getting paid every week, then, you're putting in $75 in that account. Let's say you get paid on Fridays. You're putting $75 in there every Friday. And if you want to order some pizza, you can. Do whatever you want. Or again, you can save it. So if you want to go on a cruise and you need to save this amount of money up for 6 months, in 6 months, this is going to be $1,800. So now you're telling your money what to do. So far, you've managed to put $500 in your savings. You managed to split $75 a piece. And here you got $300 every single month to go out and enjoy dinner or go to the movies, go bowling. It's yours to do whatever you want. So we also have an allowance for clothing. Now, let me tell you about this entertainment because, man, we was off the chain. Now, again, we're putting $500,000, $600,000 a year in our pocket. When I actually went back and looked at my expenses, because again, when you get your paycheck and you just go buy stuff, you really don't know what you're spending your money on. You really don't know how much you're spending, and thus the reason why at the end of every month you're like, man, what did I do with all my money? Where did it all go? I had a nice knot in the bank account earlier, but now I don't know. But at one point, when I went back and broke down my expenses over the course of a year to see what was going on, I went to a Dave Ramsey class. I discovered that we spent over $30,000 in 1 year eating out. Now I got to turn the camera around for that. Now that just don't make no damn sense. I ain't a cussing man, but for something like that, you need to use the word damn, because it didn't make no damn sense. $30,000 eating out. Now I ain't gonna lie, we was eating good, but at the end of the month, we ain't had no money, and I go by this philosophy. If you don't have $30,000 in your savings account, you sure as heck don't need to be spending no $30,000 out eating dinner. So we were some straight up fools. I ain't gonna lie about it. But so anyhow, we got kids, and it seemed like every single time we turned around, they needed some shoes, they needed some clothes, they needed this and that and all of this. So we created a category for clothes, 3%. Now 3% don't sound like much, but 3% of $5,000 is $150. Now granted, $150 don't look like a whole lot of money, but you're not buying clothes every single month, and you're not buying clothes every single week. An amazing thing happens. In 3 months, you look in that account, and this is turned into $450. And you're like, wow, kid needs some new shoes. And you look in the account, and you got $450 sitting in there. So we go down there, we buy some shoes for $35, $40, buy a shirt or two, and then we still have $400 left in the bank account, and this thing continues to stack. And again, amazing thing, 10 months into the year, this now is $1,500. $1,500, $1,800 at the end of the year. It adds up, folks. Again, this is what the wealthy folks do. They tell their money what to do. Birthdays and Christmas, same thing. Every time I turned around, with us, we have 5 kids. It seemed like a birthday was coming up every day, every doggone day. Then they go to their friend's house and their friends having birthday parties and we had to buy gifts. So again, we got an account allocated for birthdays and Christmases. So 3 months from now, if we got birthdays coming up, there's $450 sitting in the account, and we go buy a gift. And if the kids want a PlayStation, and if we don't have enough money in this account to buy the PlayStation, they ain't getting the PlayStation. Same thing. When you know how much money you have allocated for birthday gifts and Christmases, and then your kid's friend have a birthday party, and you only got $300 in here, you don't go spending all your money. Your money is allocated. It's right here. You can't do anything with it. You live by these numbers. The numbers tell you what to do. You made this up for yourself, and you can modify these numbers any way you like, but you live by these numbers. So there's money in the bank account to buy birthday gifts, and at the end of the year when Christmas come around, we're not surprised trying to figure out, where we're going to get this money from. We're not going to be putting it on credit cards and going to debt for Christmas and all that nonsense. So, and again, when you got $2,000 or $3,000 sitting in this account, and you can't go out there and spend $8,000 on Christmas. When you get your kids involved in this, you let them see the numbers. Work with them, teach them this system. House rent. Now we're getting down to the main stuff here, folks. House and rent. So $5,000 and 25% of the $5,000 is $1,250. 1220 is that $1,250? Excuse my math. Hopefully that's right. $1,250. Now, most folks are overextended, and in many cases the rent is half the doggone paycheck. So the experts say, and again, this is what the wealthy do. They live by the numbers. They live beneath their means. Now, the formula says 25%. This is what your rent should be. If you're paying more than this and your salary is $5,000, you got a problem. You might need to make some hard decisions, because see, this is what's overextending most folks. They're living outside their budget about what they can afford. And when this rent is taking up half your salary, now you start to understand why you don't have any money left over to do anything else. You're stressed, you're broke. So it's tough decisions, folks. Dave Ramsey, in many cases, suggests folks walk out their house. Now, I ain't necessarily saying that, but you got to make some decisions. You got to tell your money, and it may take you 5 years, 7 years for your credit to recover, but you're going to be under a lot less stress when you live by the numbers. When you earn this amount of money, you got to come up with some kind of formula to tell your money what to do. Now, utilities. $500. Again, that's 10% of the 5,000. So that's your water bill comes out of this. Your electricity comes out of this. Your gas bill, if you use gas in your house, comes out of this. And I know the 500 is kind of high, but maybe you got some cable TV, internet. And again, if you don't have, it shouldn't be more than this, folks. If you're only making $3,000 a month and this number is 300, then you got to make some tough choices. I had to turn off the cable. We turned our cable off. I'm sorry, not our cable, but we turned off the cable TV, and we kept our internet, high-speed internet, and we went to Netflix. That was it. We didn't need to be watching that much TV anyway, and I could afford it. But we had to make some. We wanted to get on a system, and we wanted to live by the numbers, and we wanted to save a lot of money to catch up for retirement, and so we had to cut costs elsewhere. But we realized when we turned the cable box off, the kids didn't realize the cable wasn't on for about a good 2 weeks. They turned it, what's wrong with the cable? Because most of the time they were watching Netflix anyway. So it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks later before they even realized the cable was shut off. And that saved us a ton of money. We had cell phones, so we didn't need the internet phone, so we cut that as well. So we cut costs. Now cars, this is a big one for a lot of folks. At 15%, was that $750? 15% of 5,000. So this is basically saying, if you earn $5,000 a year, $5,000 a month, your car note shouldn't total $750. Now the wealthy go a little bit further and say this number should also include your insurance as well. You get that? You get what I'm saying? So a lot of folks, they have two cars, they paying $1,000, $1,500 a month for cars and insurance. The wealthy, they live by this number. Many of them keep that number at 10%. But imagine if you didn't have a car note. A lot of the wealthy folks buy old used cars so they can eliminate that $750 amount of money going towards cars. That $750 could be split through the rest of the formula. You can break this number up. You can say, okay, I'm gonna take 5%, I'm gonna add it to the house rent. I'm gonna take this up to 30. I'm gonna take 5% of that 15 and I'm gonna put it into the savings. So now we're saving 15%. I'm gonna add the other 5% maybe to debt. Or maybe if you wanna add it to entertainment, you can. That's your call. You do whatever you want. But if you paying more than $750 a month for cars, and if you make $3,000 a month, this number should be $450. I get it. It's not a lot of money to buy a fancy car, but that car is keeping a lot of folks in bondage, in debt, stressed out, and it's keeping you from allowing you to live the quality life that you can, where you can go out to dinner a couple of times a month, buy nice clothes, buy nice Christmas gifts if that's what you choose to, go on vacation. So you got to live by the numbers, folks. The numbers are here as a guide, as the baseline. You tell your money what to do, not your wants and desires. And if you live by this formula, you can pretty much get any kind of car you want in time. You'll have a big savings, and some of this stuff will start to go away. Now, for example, groceries, all this stuff, we got everything covered. So if you make $5,000 a month, grocery bill, $500 a month. If you get paid every week, that's $125 a week going towards groceries. Again, I get it. May not seem like $125 might not seem like a lot of money. But you know what? 2-3 days out the week, we ate pinto beans and cornbread. You know what I mean? And that would drastically help bring that grocery bill down. Because now when you only have $125 a week to buy groceries, then guess what's happening? You ain't going out there buying steaks and lobsters and shrimps and all that good fancy stuff, because the number's telling you what you can afford to buy. And if you need to eat beans 3 days a week, then eat beans 3 days a week. Some of you might need to eat beans 5 days a week. Again, if you're making $3,000 a month, your grocery bill at 10% should be $300. So that's $75 a week. Now you can cut costs and save money by making sure you use coupons and get, and buying this stuff in bulk to save money. You got to be clever. You got to be smart. You got to play the game. Make this a game. Debt, 15%, $750. That means if you earn $5,000 a month, you got $750. Is that right? Yeah, $750. Yeah, you got $750 to pay off your debts, credit cards. If you want to add some extra money to get the car note paid off, you can. But again, this number, and if you don't have any debt, guess what? That's extra 15% that you can spread across the board, or $750 that you can start adding towards the savings and start stacking that up. So that is the formula that we live by. When you start this process, you're essentially now telling your money what to do, and your money is no longer in control. Your desires and impulses are no longer in control. You live by the numbers. And like I said earlier, I screwed up multiple times during the first 6 months. Took about a good solid year before I started sticking to the doggone plan. And that's when things started to turn around drastically. And I also implemented this formula into our business as well, because we have overhead, we have office, we have staff, we have supplies that we need to buy every month, and so on and so on. So that's it. I hope you found this helpful. My name is Cartes Ross. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave your comments below. Visit our website at www.cartesross.com, and make sure you subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already.